Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show, where we share thoughts with leading experts, uncover expansive and evolutionary truths to support the path to unity and enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour, we'll be exploring Into the Shadow, Organ Harvesting and Genocide. Evolution is about enlightenment. Sometimes that means employing forms that can clear our facility, enabling us to channel more light, such as meditation, shamanism, Tai Chi, Falun Gong, and Reiki, to name a few. Other times, it's about having the courage to shine that very light into the darkest corners, open our eyes, and see truth no matter how painful. This is one of those other times. With us this hour to accompany us on our shadow walk is a very brave man of service. Nicholas Gerber is an entrepreneur and activist from Johannesburg, South Africa, who's dedicated over 17 years to help expose one of the most brutal persecutions and human rights atrocities in modern history. The communist regime in China has mandated forced live organ harvesting of hundreds of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners, Tibetan Buddhists, Muslims, and house Christians. Their organs are sold for a large profit, and their bodies are burned to remove the evidence. Hundreds of thousands of others have been illegally detained and sent to labor camps. Mitchell seeks to increase the world's awareness so we can rid the world of this atrocity, and we hope to do the same. The website, stoporganharvesting.org. Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Oh, Gwilda, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. Good evening from Bali, Indonesia.
It's evening there and morning here. We're covering the clock, aren't we?
Absolutely, around the globe.
Yeah. What is Falun Gong?
Falun Gong, very similar to Chinese yoga, Tai Chi. It originated in China in 1992. The founder, Mr. Li, incorporated 5 beautiful, free, and easy-to-learn exercises, slow-moving, energetic and organic stretches and meditation, purification exercises that really brings the body to an incredible health, spiritual vitality, and healing. And the 5 exercises of Falun Gong also are founded and deeply rooted in ancient Chinese Buddhism and Taoist principles, universal principles, actually, Gwilda, of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. And when Falun Gong was introduced into the general public in 1992 in China, it became the largest spiritual movement and life force of the Chinese people between 1992 and 1998. 1 out of every 12 Chinese national citizens, from the highest classes of the government to the military generals to half of upper middle class society in China to the rural areas, were practicing Falun Gong in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings. This practice took China by storm, won all the health awards. Mr. Li was actually nominated for 5 Nobel Peace Prizes, and spread to over 114 different countries. And when I started to practice Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, my whole body, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how much it just opened up. I was a martial arts practitioner for many years. I did yoga, Tai Chi. I love the Eastern modalities. I've never been a religious man, but I definitely love the Eastern way, the naturalness of it, the comfortable, the ease of the exercises in terms of yoga, in terms of Tai Chi. And Gwilda, when I started to practice Falun Gong, again, my whole body just opened up and really felt incredible comfort, ease, cleanliness, and dignity in this spiritual movement.
So what is it about Falun Gong that has a Chinese communist regime out to annihilate them? I mean, what possibly threat could these gentle people pose?
3 main reasons. First of all, the large popularity of it. Falun Gong it became the life force. Like I said, 1 out of every 12 Chinese national citizens by 1998 were practicing Falun Gong. 100 million people, between 70 and 100 million people, the Chinese government estimates were estimating by 1998. The highest Politburo members of the communist regime, all their families, professors, lawyers, doctors, business people, military generals, more than half of upper class society were practicing. So just the sheer number, the sheer size, and the sheer magnitude of this practice in terms of the numbers, outnumbering the communist regime by 3-1. 30 million more people were practicing Falun Gong by that time. And that made the communist regime, the Chinese Communist Party, a very evil monstrosity and a mutational demonic specter, very nervous. Second of all, the ideology of Falun Gong, which teaches from Mr. Lee's teachings and books, truthfulness and compassion and tolerance, to consider one another, to be truthful, tell the truth, be honest, be kind and loving to yourself and others, be empathetic, put yourself in other people's shoes, do well in business, trade with a good heart, be very kind to your wife or husband, love your children, etc., etc. But the ideology of the communist regime is nepotism, bribery, tyranny, control, murder. The history of their killing machine is just such disgrace. Between 60 and 80 million people have been murdered under the communist regime. That's more than people murdered than 2 world wars combined. Over 5,000 years of divine traditional Chinese culture wiped out, decimated. And so that was the second reason, the clash of ideologies, goodness versus evil. The third and most serious reason why Falun Gong was outlawed and targeted for elimination was the reason why I'm gracefully on your show today. Thanks to you. Is because the Falun Gong organs and the body become incredibly healthy. The human body becomes really healthy once you practice Falun Gong. And based on medical data, medical research, from within China and out, we see the cell metabolic processes, the DNA strands, from the organs to the health of the person, to the peace of mind, the balance, the breathing, all the body and even the nervous system really become really healthy. You can sleep better, you can breathe better. And particularly the organs, after practicing the Falun Gong exercises, because the exercises unblock the energy channels, the blood circulates better, and the Falun Gong and the organs become really healthy after practicing Falun Gong. So this became a very serious business for the communist regime that started to eradicate Falun Gong after slandering it with a massive propaganda machine, and then sending hundreds and thousands of Falun Gong practitioners to state-mandated hospitals and killing them for their organs, culling their organs out of their bodies while alive, and selling their organs as the healthiest organs in the world, illegally without consent.
Oh my God, that's just criminal. Who's purchasing these organs?
4 different types of groups, as we know so far: medical associations, rich foreign recipients who come to China and ask for organs. We actually have the investigators taping telephone conversations of Falun Gong practitioners calling the hospitals, over 700 hospitals within China, and the actual doctors getting on the lines, and the Falun Gong practitioners disguised as foreigners saying, "Listen, we've heard you've got Falun Gong organs, they're the healthiest in the world, can we get one?" And the doctors are saying, "Yeah, sure, no problem, come to China, we have plenty. You want 1, you want 2, you want 3, no problem, we have a stock." So this is actually a large group of people, between 70 and 100 million people, within a specific date, receiving a organ transplant, basically cutting their organs out of their bodies and giving it to the foreign donor, and then the body's burned in the incineries and ovens and boiler rooms of the hospitals. And where it was usually 4 to 5 years to get a heart, 7 to 8 years to get a lung and a liver, on a specified date within 1 or 2 weeks. So this is basically taking a lobster out of a tank, cutting it open. If that doesn't work, another one, and just doing it randomly and literally daily if you needed it, to get this organ on demand. And I was lucky to have sat down in London just about 5 days ago with Dr. Enver Tohti, who was a Chinese surgeon who bared witness to forced organ harvesting, actually did one on a Uighur Muslim, where 17 million Uighur Muslims in China have been databased, basically forcibly blood tested and databased for organ harvesting, just like the Falun Gong. And he revealed this shocking news to us in the House of Parliament in Westminster. I was also accompanied by David Kilgour, the former Secretary of State and Crown Prosecutor of the Asian Affairs of the Canadian Parliament, and Ethan Gutman, a nominee of the Nobel Peace Prize of 2018. These investigators have confirmed the allegations are true, that at least 100,000 Falun Gong practitioners and others have been sent to death camps and state-mandated hospitals, Gwilda, and everybody, their organs cut out of their bodies while alive, and then the organs then sold, and the bodies burned in the crematories and the ovens. And this is a new form of evil, ladies and gentlemen, that hasn't reached the mainstream media. It's so hard to believe, but this is actually going on. Irrefutable evidence and beyond a reasonable doubt.
Unbelievable. But we're going to have to take a quick break. We will pick up with this on the other side. Thank you again for being with us. It is time for a short pause. Mitchell and I will be back after this commercial break. You're listening to the Mission Evolution Radio Show, coming to you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. This is vital information, folks. Please stay with us.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com.
Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution Radio, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. Remember, past episodes are available on our website, missionevolution.org. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our very special guest this hour is Nicholas Gerber. We're exploring the hidden atrocities being perpetrated as we speak to prevent evolution and enlightenment. For more information on this very important topic, visit fofg.org. Mitchell, we're purportedly moving into a time of enlightenment. Is this genocide an attempt to maintain the exploitive status quo by taking out the ones that are seeking enlightenment?
Absolutely, because Falun Gong became such a life force of the Chinese people in communist China. The red devil, as we call it, the demon specter of the communist regime, the beast from the east, the Chinese Communist Party that has controlled China for the last 50 plus years, found it such a threat to its evil regime. And there's a history of the communist regime that is so nightmarish. If people are avid readers of China and would like to know more about China, there's a really good documentary or publication called the 9 Commentaries on the Communist Party. And there's a proverb or a saying that many regimes and empires in history killed in order to conquer. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, that has taken over China in 1949 with Mao, to this day, conquered in order to kill. And to really understand how organ harvesting could happen in China, it's crucial to understand that there's no limit, Gwilda, to how far the Chinese Communist Party will go to wipe out something or someone. When the persecution started in July 1999, the Chinese regime called Falun Gong the biggest threat to national security since Tiananmen Square 10 years before. The crackdown on Falun Gong was 1999, Tiananmen Square, which I'm sure the listeners and everybody knows is very famous, in 1989. And today, the communist regime are even more terrified than ever, because we've actually unearthed official Communist Party documents that recently issued statements like the competition against Falun Gong is the principal means of competition for the hearts and the minds of the masses. But the evil head of the communist regime, people who are not really known about this person, the former leader of the Chinese Communist Party when the persecution began, his name is Jiang Zemin, was seeking a way to consolidate his own power. He couldn't control the hearts and the minds of the people much longer. And he was also trying to eliminate the largest movement of thought that was influencing these people in Chinese history. So to achieve his goals, he knew he needed one thing more than anything, and hate. So he tried to turn the public against Falun Gong. He created the 610 office on June 10th, 1999, which sits on top of the communist regime. There's the communist regime party system, and then there's the government system. The party system controls the government system. So when the party system collapses very soon, within 2 to 5 years, which I can get into later if I have time, the government of China will still maintain a good, noble way of doing things, because there will be a new way of doing things in China, and that will allow the rest of the world to be at peace. But the communist regime, sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I was just saying that the communist regime controlling the government system and the people in China, that needs to really change, because the 610 office, which was created on June 10th, 1999, was used like a Chinese Gestapo-type office that was created by Jiang Zemin, the former president of China, to eradicate Falun Gong, bankrupt them, and use their use their bodies as raw materials within 3 months to just destroy Falun Gong, actually basically create a war against Falun Gong. And this has been going on for 18 plus years now, with forced organ harvesting. They're taking away of their children, they're taking away of their graduation certificates, they're freezing of their bank accounts, sending them to 18 years, 19 year sentences, and killing them and using them as forced labor to create products for McDonald's and other corporations in the world, silencing the media, silencing the multinational corporations. All of everybody knows about, silencing the UN, getting the Vatican to be complicit in aiding and abetting the communist regime to keep quiet and stay silent for them, and actually urging them on to do what they need to do in China. It's ridiculous and it's sick. And it just goes to show how many people will stand on the right side of destiny. And Gwilda, I take my hat off to you before I forget, because you and your listeners are standing on the right side of destiny. And for you allowing me to just share this and speak this and clarify this truth about Falun Gong and about the organ harvesting is a testament of your heart and your soul standing on the right side of destiny.
Thank you. We have to, because, we can all sit around and go happy, happy, joy, joy, and contemplate our navels, or we can look at what's really going on in order to change it, and you can't change it unless you see it. How is this atrocity being marketed in such a way that normal God-fearing, if you will, people are buying into it?
The propaganda machine of China is massive. I mean, they have the largest economy, the largest military, the institutionalized slavery system that was created to maintain and fund, or was created by the consumer market in America, consumer market in Europe. I mean, wherever you go in the world, made in China, made in China. So the money, the mass amounts of misappropriated funds, trillions of dollars. I mean, 1/4 of China's gross domestic profit since 1999 has been used to eradicate Falun Gong. And this has been used to conceal the facts, create the largest propaganda machine, the 610 office, the Chinese Gestapo office, to send massive amounts of propaganda through CCTV. I'm sure if you turn on your television, through Dish Network and other places around the world, you'll see CCTV. That's communist TV. That's Communist Party television. So the communist regime has bought out many of the multinational corporations, media. They've muscled the Vatican to aid and abet them, to stay silent. The United Nations doesn't say anything. So they've clawed their way into influencing these massive these governing bodies to stay silent. But David Kilgour, David Mattis, and Ethan Gutman are smashing through the web of deception, as well as with the Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting, which I implore your listeners to also go research. Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting, DAFOH.org, for the avid people who want statistics, want evidence, and also the Kilgour-Mattis report, the Mattis and Kilgour report, either which way you can say it. That's the body of evidence that confirmed the allegations were true in 2006, when they exposed between 40 and 60,000 cases of Falun Gong practitioners' deaths, and harvesting of their organs was commencing. And then in 2016, they revised that report along with Ethan Gutman, who I can share with you in the next segment if you'd like, who came out with his book, The Slaughter, which you can get that on Amazon, on Kindle. The Slaughter also details the confirmation of the allegations that are true and beyond a reasonable doubt.
So this sounds like a massive a matter of combination between brainwashing and pocket lining.
Exactly.
How
You
horrific.
nailed it.
How
Yep.
horrific. Conquering nations have always targeted the holy people and shaman of the culture because they empower the individual, rendering them less controllable. Is that part of the motivation here as well?
Absolutely. And because Falun Gong is so dignified and so beautiful and so clean, and the organs and the body and the health and the mind, I mean, just by practicing Falun Gong, which is free of charge all over the world in 114 different countries, it's incredible. I mean, the body, you feel better, you can do business better, you can be in better love relationships and with your children, and it's amazing. And the awards in China and beyond, it's been quite profound. I mean, even Anastasia Lin, who is Miss World Canada 2015 and 2016, practices Falun Gong and was denied access into China to participate in the 2017 Miss World pageant because she practices Falun Gong. Sterling Campbell, who was David Bowie, the late David Bowie's drummer, he said, being a musician, my surroundings were not the healthiest. But when I started practicing Falun Gong in 1 month, I just snapped out of all those environmental hazards, alcohol, and drugs. Freedom House, the Falun Gong believers in China have responded to persecution with tenacity, nonviolence, and creativity. It's quite profound. And so the reason why...
It sounds like quite the evolutionary tool.
Oh, the life force of China. And all the... Yeah, sorry.
And if we evolve into our potential, these kind of atrocities will be seen and abolished, I believe. Do you?
Absolutely. And that is why, thank goodness to you and your listeners, and Rob McConnell as well, for just being such a voice of support and a rally of courage to expose this even further. And that's why I'm so grateful to be on your show tonight.
I understand there's other groups being targeted. What do they have in common?
Absolutely. The Tibetan Buddhists, I'm sure you've heard about the Free Tibet movement with the Dalai Lama. He's going around the world, and what a courageous man he has been. Just a small little simple monk, as he calls himself, is rallying so much support against the communist regime. He fully knows about Falun Gong and has great sentiment towards them as well, and his own people in Tibet. The Uighur Muslims, and their leader is a wonderful businesswoman. I'm not sure, I forgot her name, forgive me, but she is also trying to rally support around her people to stop the organ harvesting. They are a beautiful sect of Muslims, Islamic people, ancient Islamic law and principles, not like the jihadists in Syria, in ISIS, which have caused such destruction and have twisted Islam into what it is today. But this is a woman who has led her people, has stood up for courage and empowerment, and unfortunately her people have been targeted for organ harvesting, and house Christians as well in China who have been persecuted as well. Church house Christians have been persecuted. So these are the four groups that have been brutally persecuted in China, the largest being the Falun Gong.
That's deplorable. We're going to have to pick up with more of this information on the other side of yet another sharp pause. But ladies and gentlemen, please stay here. This is very, very important information. We really need to open our eyes. Mitchell and I will return to this powerful discussion on the other side of this break, so please stay with us. This is Mission Evolution Radio Show on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back. This is the Mission Evolution Radio Show, www.missionevolution.org, bringing the latest tools and transformation to support the path to enlightenment. I'm your host, Golda Wiecka. We're speaking with Mitchell Nicholas Gerber. For more profound information, here's another site for you, stoporganharvesting.org. Mitchell, whatever possessed you to become involved here?
I was studying international business at the University of Georgia in the USA, and I came across this beautiful group called the Falun Gong. And I loved meditation. I loved yoga. I was doing yoga at the time, and I was stressed out, a little anxious, and I wanted to try something new. So I just came across this booth, and I practiced, and immediately my whole body just opened up. I could breathe better. I felt greater. I could concentrate better. It just, my whole being, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, was more stable, more serene, and more positive. And so I wanted to get involved. And then I saw about how brutal the persecution was in China against the Falun Gong and others. Over 100 torture methods, trying to force women to abort their children, and make people give up their spiritual beliefs in Falun Gong in China, and the courageousness of these people who just want to practice their spiritual beliefs and say, no, I will not give up my belief. I want to practice how I want to practice. I'm not harming anybody, and I'm actually doing something good. And it touched me so deep inside that I felt compelled as a human being with a human body, with human organs, to do something about it, even if it was a simple petition, even if I was, for example, a professor or a sports person or a CEO or a teacher in a high school, that I would go out, even in my own family, and go out around the table at night and say, Mom and Dad, sister, brother, auntie and uncle, colleagues, students, have you heard about this? And share a flyer, share a petition, share the awareness about this. And that's what I intended to do. And I've done this for no money, no glory, no fame, and no recognition, just because I have been compelled as a human being and a simple man on my own plan to do what I needed to do and clarify the truth about this.
Mitchell, how did you find out about it in the first place?
I was at the University of Georgia, and I just looked at the booth, and I just saw that there was a little booth with these Chinese people practicing, from these little children and about 25 to 26-year-olds, and then elder people, and they were doing the Falun Gong exercises, and I just felt beautiful. And it accompanies, the music is accompanied by the exercises, and the exercises accompanying the music. And the actual teacher, Mr. Lee, in Chinese, shares the instructions. And they were just so peaceful and so beautiful, and seeing them, it almost made me cry. And I was like, wow, as a strong, powerful lion heart warrior, I've always been working out. I like to be strong, but I also like to be soft and gentle. And after practicing the Falun Gong exercises, it balances my yin nature, my feminine and my masculine side, and I just overall felt good. So that's when I really got involved. So it was at the university on May 4th, 2001. I even remember the day.
How did you then find out about the atrocities in China?
They had some of the depictions and the vivid images of the practitioners. They were beaten and raped and abused, and so I felt just so compelled to do it after practicing these exercises, how such innocent, kind-hearted people were subjected to such destructive torture methods and abusive techniques to give up their spiritual beliefs. But only after I practiced, after maybe 8 years, 6 or 7 years, that's when I really learned about the forced organ harvesting. I didn't have any idea they were being persecuted. None of us did in the West when we were practicing in the beginning. But yeah. And the reason why, Gordon, in addition to that, the reason why the communist regime also targeted Falun Gong is because by 1999, Chinese officials went so far as to quantify Falun Gong's benefits, such as when one official from China's National Sports Commission, speaking with U.S. News and World Report, declared that Falun Dafa, or Falun Gong as it's also called, can save each person about 1,000 yuan. That's about $158 in annual medical fees. So if 100 million people are practicing it, that's 100 billion yuan, millions and millions of dollars per year in medical fees. So that's also a reason why the communist regime targeted the organs and the body of Falun Gong. And there was a medical surgeon's wife that came out of China. Her name is Annie. She goes as a pseudonym, who goes around the world to also expose that, if these Falun Gong practitioners were dead, her suffering would be a little eased, but they were actually alive. And her husband, the medical surgeon in China, told her how he removed the corneas of over 2,000 Falun Gong practitioners just there on the spot, and then threw them in the body infernaries, in the incineraries to conceal the evidence.
Do they at least put these people under general anesthetic before they butcher them?
Not at all. Nothing. No. Just cut them out like lobsters. Cut the organs out, everything, and throw them in the boiler ovens of the hospitals. Also, sell the bodies, plasternize the bodies in China, at the behest of the communist regime's officials, and then send them off to the body exhibitions, the body world exhibitions around the world. At the German gentleman, well, I don't even think you can call him a gentleman, this German fellow created, I think you've heard about the body world and the body exhibitions that tour London and Paris and New York and other places around the world, where there's these Chinese bodies that have been plastinized, and they do all sorts of movements. They're playing tennis. A couple of them are even having sex, as creepy as it is. And these are Falun Gong practitioners' bodies, and Uighur Muslim and Tibetan Buddhist and House Christian bodies that have been plastinized and sold for millions of dollars. And this is a multi-million-dollar profiteering ring.
Originally, weren't those shows people that had donated their bodies to science so that people could witness how the muscles worked and this sort of thing? When did they get so distorted?
Well, that's the thing. It's always been that's the whole thing, the deception of it all. China, the communist regime, all these bodies were never donated. They were just Falun Gong practitioners taken and harvested, killed, and plastinized to fuel the volume of bodies used to put on these shows around the world and make this massive amount of money. I think the body worlds are worth $60 million nowadays, I think. But yeah, it's all a deception. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
All a deception. Yeah.
So are they persecuting all genders and all ages?
Yes, unfortunately they are. And Dr. Envatotti showed us very disturbing pictures of how children have been, specifically Uighur Muslim children, have been harvested. A lot of the Uighur Muslim, when he was working in one of the hospitals in the provinces of, I think, Xinjiang province, where a lot of Uighur Muslims were or are, a lot of Uighur Muslims he accounted for said they came up to him and said to him, "Listen, can you check our children to see if there are any organs removed, because some of them are showing some signs of scars." He checked them and he indeed saw that there have been organs removed and then sealed up again. So yes, he did say that there have been children actually being harvested as well.
Oh my goodness! So, like a kidney, take one kidney and leave the other, or part of a liver. How do they continue to live?
Some of them one kidney, some of them never been seen again. She showed us a 1.5 minute video of children who were trafficked by people who were caught in China, and these children were killed and then ice blocked to preserve the body. It was quite disturbing. So this is actually going on. Yeah, it's really sick. It's really disturbing.
It's horrific. The Holocaust began in 1933 and ended in 1945. And there was a lot of criticism and disbelief that this atrocity was able to occur under our very noses for 12 some odd years. now you're telling me in this age of worldwide web mass communication, the Chinese Communist regime has been doing equally horrific things to its citizens since 1999, and we've been blissfully unaware for 18 years. Mitchell, how is this even possible?
Ethan Gutman was asked that question by the Vision Times reporter in 2015, and the question was, what was your reaction when you heard of the reports of organ harvesting? And Ethan Gutman, who wrote the book The Slaughter, skeptical. I'm always skeptical when I'm on the threshold of a new investigation. I met him actually in the House of Parliament. He was the one who testified to the committee. But the Vision reporter asked him as well, what changed your mind? The Kilgore-Mattis report, the phone calls into Chinese hospitals by Falun Gong investigators. But there is no substitute to personally cross-examining witnesses. One of my first subjects was a peasant woman, a Falun Gong practitioner, who had done serious time in a labor camp. Along with detailed accounts of torture, she briefly mentioned a physical exam. Yet under intense questioning, the exam sounded like it was administered in a hospital turned upside down. The only possible medical rationale was to assess whether she could be exploited for her kidneys, her liver, her corneas, and perhaps her heart, the retail organs. Meanwhile, the woman was becoming increasingly annoyed with me. I mean, she had been tortured for God's sake. Her beliefs had been jeered and mocked, her family ruined. Why was this stupid white guy so interested in blood tests? She did not recognize the physical examination as having any importance. Of course, to me, this was investigative catnip.
Unbelievable. And how long did this gentleman investigate it?
Continuing to this day. They're actually going around the world to share more about the irrefutable evidence. He wrote his book, The Slaughter, which you can get on Amazon or Kindle, The Slaughter, and then the actual report is Mattis and Kilgore report.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to take another break. There is more. Mitchell and I will be back shortly, so please don't go away. You're listening to the Mission Evolution Radio Show on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Welcome back. This is the Mission Evolution Radio Show, www.missionevolution.org, bringing the latest developments in an evolving world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. My dear listeners, our guest, Nicholas Gerber, and I are discussing a very serious topic that, if ignored, has the potential to not only impinge spiritual evolution, but to become another Holocaust. Be sure to research these websites, stoporganharvesting.org and intransplantabuse.org. Mitchell, I have to ask, where is the media in all this? How can they dwell on how many times the president does or doesn't open a door for his wife when this genocide has been going on for 18 years?
That's a great question, Gwilda. I'm wondering myself. After all these years, 17 years on the front lines, knocking on their doors, you know, when I reached out to Rob and you to come on your shows, you came back to me. Why aren't they coming back to me? I don't understand it. I target so many mainstream, and they haven't come back. And I'll tell you why. A lot of them have been bought out by the communist regime. You know, before 1999, the persecution began, or during the persecution, around June, July of 1999, right when the persecution was starting, the media, CNN, BBC, they all wanted to know what this Falun Gong was. What was the opiate or the life force of China? And before we could get to them, the communist regime embedded lies and spewed complete deception to them and saying that this is a sinister cult. They even forced 4 people and a little girl in Tiananmen Square, blocked it off as if it was a movie theater or a staged movie event, and set themselves on fire and said that this is what Falun Gong practitioners do, that they kill themselves, they set themselves on fire. In 2001, January. And this really distorted the Chinese minds. And what they did, like they did with the mainstream media, the communist regime brainwashed and poisoned the Chinese people with bombardments of just negative publicity. Forced everyone into a room and said, "Listen, Falun Gong is evil." Made them watch Falun Gong defamatory propaganda and anti-Falun Gong propaganda, and this is how they did. This is how they could demonize Falun Gong, and just like Hitler did with the Jews, or the Hutus did with the Tutsis in Rwanda and other genocides around the world, not like the largest extent that communist China has done because of the massive propaganda machine and the massive amounts of money that has gone on in China, but still just bombarded them just constantly, 24 hours on all the radio stations, all the television stations, all the newspapers, nothing about how evil Falun Gong is. And they blasted it out throughout the world, the BBC and CNBC and all these other places, that Falun Gong is evil. Don't talk about Falun Gong. And if you do, we're going to cancel your contracts, and we're going to cancel your obligations, and we're going to put a lot of pressure on you. And this is what's happened. And after 18 years, they've remained silent. But thank goodness, there have been good CNN reporters and BBC reporters and Fox News reporters, and certain newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post reporters, New York Post, Newsweek, that have come out to talk about this. So I'm not going to bash or discredit all of them, but very few and far between.
It's horrifying to me because if our news is being bought, if money talks and not investigative reporting, and yet we sit here and we absorb this supposed information day in, day out, and base our belief systems on it, what else is going on in the world that we're oblivious to because they have enough money to block the information?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that the communist regime hires spies, internet spies, there was a consulate leader. He worked in the consulate. I think he was the consul general of the Australian embassy. He defected. Chen Yong Lin. I actually saw him speak in Washington. A good man, and he defected and exposed that he ran a network of about 2,000 internet spies that came around the internet and would literally censor and demonize Falun Gong and break into laptops and shut down websites. Now, I'm not saying your website's going to be censored, but the cybersecurity and the communist regime spy activity and network is horrendous. So this is what they do to shut down anyone who tries to speak up against Falun Gong. You guys are courageous, so don't worry, nothing's going to happen to you. But I was actually on InfoWars about a year ago, and because they reached such a large amount of people, they got hit by the largest censorship cyber attack by communist China. I'm not surprised they do that to you. I don't think they will, because they're running for cover. Majority of these people are running for cover and fleeing the country, and there's been a huge political conflict and turmoil in China. So the Falun Gong practitioners have really stood the test of time, and people like yourself are standing the test of time, and myself. So it's just a matter of time when this is all get exposed. We will be exposed. So,
you've been kicking up quite a bit of dust. Have you been targeted?
Sure, I have. I had to sit down with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I have had death threats. My family have been monitored. I've been monitored. My car has been broken into. My computer has been hacked. But I pat myself on the back because I've been blacklisted from China when I try to teach recently some children in English in China. They blacklisted my passport and they stopped my contract because I have been doing a lot of work. So it's been wonderful. I actually am very happy that the communist regime has done this to me because it makes me feel like I've created a dent in their operations, and it's lovely and it's actually good. As thrilling as it is, I pat myself on the back and say, way to go, Lionheart. You're making a difference and you're making them scared. And that's great, because the more they come at me, the more they try and infiltrate anybody that stands up for the dignity of Falun Gong and exposing the forced organ harvesting, the more we can rest assured that we're doing the right thing, and that's good. That's worth living for. That's worth fighting for, and that's worth working for. So absolutely, I'm very happy, and they can target me all they want, but they're a bunch of scoundrels and a bunch of bullies, and I don't pay them any attention. I just continue doing keeping my head down, keeping my head to the grindstone, my nose to the grindstone, and doing what I need to do, Gwilda. And that's why I'm grateful to be on your show.
Well, I can't thank you enough for your courage and your dedication to this. What can we do as individuals? How can we help, short of dropping missiles? What can we do?
Well, there's one thing I wanted to share with you before we end, and that's another interview question that Ethan Gutman, the author of The Slaughter, that I implore your listeners to read. He was asked by the reporter, what do you say to those people who still doubt that organ harvesting has occurred or is occurring on a large scale in China, especially through the use of Falun Gong practitioners? And Ethan responded, the dogs bark, the caravan moves on. Look, The Slaughter, my book, has been out for a year. That's plenty of time for serious reviewers to question my conclusions. I can't think of one who has. Even the South China Morning Post, which obviously had to give a critical review given their financial relationship with the mainland, didn't dare. And I stand by every footnote, every interview. I don't begrudge anyone the right to doubt. As I said in my book, these are toxic allegations and serious allegations, but no one has the right to dismiss the allegations without actually reading the corpus of work that has been published. The Slaughter, my book, Bloody Harvest by David Kilgore and David Mattis, and State Organs, not to mention all the investigative reports that have been authored by the Epoch Times, the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, and Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting. This investigation started in 2006. Yet the volume of investigative work is only increasing. You want to comment? Hit the books. If someone is too lazy to read about the subject or just doesn't care enough about Chinese atrocities to bother, perhaps they should keep silent. So I implore your listeners to go to stoporganharvesting.org, DAFOH Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting. Read the book The Slaughter. Read the Kilgore and Natters report. It's a PDF that is free online to download and to read. Also, watch the documentaries Human Harvest, Hard to Believe, and Transmission 610, all on YouTube. Hard to believe you have to pay for, but because it was done by Emmy Award producers, and it's based in I think on Vimeo, but you can download it on Amazon. It's like $4.99 to rent. But Hard to Believe is a very good documentary. Transmission 610 is free. Human Harvest you can also watch. Just type in forced organ harvesting in China on YouTube. And also for avid readers, the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party. It's a free publication at ninecommentaries.com. And endorgantransplantabuse.org and FOFG.org and faluninfo.net. That's a lot of information, but I think the listeners can re-listen to the audio, download the show, and get the links from there or from the website as well if you post them.
Which one would you say would be the most important to look at first?
Those who are very statistical and are serious in terms of the facts, Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting, DAFOH.org. Also, endtransplantabuse.org. Also very important, the Kilgore Mattis report and Ethan Gutman's book, The Slaughter. And for others who want to watch the videos and become familiar with Falun Gong is, stoporganharvesting.org and FOFG.org.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, Mitchell. I now understand why you're known as Lionheart. Thank you so much for your courage, your powerful work in the world, and for sharing this most vital information with our listeners. Our guest this hour has been Nicholas Gerber. To learn more about organ harvesting, persecution, and genocide going on in our world today, visit the websites he mentioned, particularly stoporganharvesting.org, endtransplantabuse.org, and FOFG.org. This has been Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Join us next time as the mission continues to bring resources, support, and vital information to an evolving world.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.